Thank you very much, Her Excellency, Mrs. Camille Robinson Regis, my former cabinet colleague, friend, and associate. Party Chairman, Mr. Franklin Khan, other party officers assembled on the head table, councillors in the Tunapuna Piato Regional Corporation, my parliamentary colleague, Member of Parliament for Diego Martin Northeast, Mr. Colin Imbert, Senator Terence Dayal Singh, our youth speaker, young Dion Williams, visitors to this area, friends, supporters of the PNM, citizens of Trinidad and Tobago present here in this massive crowd, those of you listening at home on 95.5 and on 91.9, welcome to this meeting of the People's National Movement. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a few minutes to address you tonight. But there's so much to talk about that tonight we can only talk about a few things. But as I sit there and look at you, knowing that all of us will have to make our way back home, and those of you listening, hopefully in the safety of your homes or in your cars along the highways and byways of Trinidad and Tobago, I couldn't help but think, who's next? It might very well be that some one of us in this crowd tonight would be the next person to be murdered in Trinidad and Tobago. It might very well be that one of you listening to me right now could be the next person to cease to live in Trinidad and Tobago. That is what we are facing right now, and you had better believe it. We have a problem. And notice I'm not saying that the UNC has a problem, or the PNM has a problem, or the COP has a problem. We, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, we have a problem. This morning, my staff gave me a list, because we monitor it very closely. They gave me a list and it shows that so far, before the end of 2 months in 2013, 70-odd persons have been killed in Trinidad and Tobago. We just can't go on this way. And I'm not accusing anybody in the government of killing anybody. I want to make that very clear. As we take issue with our horrible circumstance, I am not accusing anybody in the government of killing anybody. But the same way the government has the responsibility for the health sector to make sure that when you get sick and you go there, there are doctors and nurses there to look after you. And they have a responsibility for the education sector to make sure that when your children go to school, they are taught that 2 and 2 make 4 and that they are educated in the school environment. And the same way that they have a responsibility to protect us from those external forces that would harm us, and to make sure that we are protected from all harm, both internal and external. It is the same way that the government of Trinidad and Tobago has a responsibility to ensure that what I have just described to you is not the condition that should prevail with respect to national security. And the government knows this, you know. And they know that they have been failing in this very fundamental responsibility. The PNM had that responsibility before. And the population was not happy with the level of security. And it became a major electoral issue in 2010. And those who are in office today offered themselves as citizens with solutions to this problem, and they told us in 120 days or less, with the will that they will bring to office, we will get relief from this scourge of criminal conduct through violent crime. By January 2013, the government knew that it was failing on this commitment. So you know what the government did? This government did what it has always done. Set out to lie to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. We were in a campaign in Tobago, and we were called to the Parliament for the express purpose of the government laying a bill which the government wanted to pass a few days later. Because you have to lay the bill one day to give notice and then come back soon after to debate it. On the day when we came back from Tobago, on the 7th of January, for the laying of this ill-fated Tobago bill, a strange thing happened. But strange to you, not strange to me. While they were crafting the bill at the back of the Speaker's chair in the back room there, to change the Constitution to let Tobago become whatever, the Minister of National Security volunteered a statement to the Parliament. And understand something, in any proper functioning cabinet, a minister does not just get up and come and make a statement to the Parliament under the standing order statement by ministers. When a minister gets up in the Parliament to make a statement, in our system it is understood that this statement is approved by the cabinet and it contains the fact and the truth. And it binds every member of the cabinet. So Jacques Warner came on the 7th of January as Minister of National Security, and he set out to tell the population and the world, because the world is watching us, you know, that serious crime has had significant declines in Trinidad and Tobago. He identified every area of serious crime. I'm talking here about the opening of the year 2013, 7th of January, and he read out all the serious crime which went down by 29%, 41%, 14%, 30%. This was the Minister of National Security. I was so shocked that I had to whistle, and the Speaker had to chide me that I should not whistle in the Parliament, but I was so shocked. I forgot I was in the Parliament. I said, that is lie. But it's a serious matter. This is our minister speaking for our cabinet about our most serious problem, where our very lives are at stake, lying to us about the circumstances as they prevail. Let me tell you what the actual situation is as against what Jack Warner told us on the 7th of January. 7th of January 2013, you want to know what happened 2012 and 2011. Let me take a few minutes and tell you. Murders, 2011, 343, and that's minimum, eh? It's more than that. Because if you don't die the day they shoot you, they don't count it. Don't laugh at that. When they report that somebody has been shot seriously and the person died after, they don't count that. I went on a platform in St. James and I took issue with the police numbers, and I told you they took down the website and didn't put it back up. They couldn't correlate me. It was the truth. We keep a tally of all the reports of killings by name, location, and cause of death as known at the time. This 343 on the police website is the minimum figure. 2011, 343. 2012, 378 as a police figure. Burglaries and break-ins. 2011, 3,891. 2012, 4,089. Robberies. 2011, 3,423. 2012, 4,235. Rape, incest, and sexual offences. 2011, 512. 2012, 824. Woundings and shootings. 2011, 494. 2012, 534. Against that background of the official police statements, on what basis was Jack Warner telling the Parliament and telling the country and telling the world that crime has gone down in this country? And they have a habit, every time there's an explosion of crime, they run to Lavington or to Beetham, and they lock down, according to them, they lock down the areas, and they tell you they are dealing with crime. Because that is where the crime is, and they lock it down. Today, I had my staff give me the list of all the people killed in Trinidad and Tobago in the last month and a half. 33 different areas in this country have experienced murders. Let me tell you where people have been murdered in this country. Barataria, Lavington, Mount Hope, Malabar, Beetham, Caranach, Tobago, Aranguez, Couva, Caparo, Freeport, Belmont, Morvan, Santa Cruz, Woodbrook, Aruca, Londonville, St. Madeleine, Diego Martin, Pinal, Monroe Road, Columbia, Arima, Chaguanas and Cocorit. So the murdering is not a Lavington problem. It's a nationwide catastrophe. Now, this being the situation, there are 3 areas that we the people have to look at to respond to this. And let me make it very clear. There is no magic bullet to solving this crime problem. Because the causes are multifaceted and the responses are going to have to be many and varied. There's no single reason for the crime in this country. Some of it is greed. Some of it, people just decide to make a living through crime. Long ago they said crime didn't pay. In the 21st century, crime does pay some people and pay them very well. Some of it is external force, some of it is internal. But at the end of the day, there are 3 areas that you have to focus on as the government to respond to this criminal conduct. One is the social conditions that generate criminal activity and conditions for criminal conduct. And that starts in the homes, on the streets, in the communities. And then you have to look at the economy that is required to perform well enough to give you the resources to respond to the social pressures that generate crime. And when you have those 2 understood and working together, you then have proper effective law enforcement based on crime prevention and effective crime detection. So when the minister comes and tells you about fewer murders last year than this year, miss in the boat. 1 murder is too much. What you want to hear is that your police and security service in general are better able to respond by either preventing the crime or by detecting the miscreants who commit the crime. And until you're doing that, you're not properly responding to crime. And when you have in the cabinet people like KDs who drag coffin in the road, when the moderate was 136, Keith Noel 136 was too much for KDs. But 400 and lies in the parliament and KDs is silent. Then you know the cabinet is not responding to the problem. But I tell you, 2010 brought about a change. You got a new prime minister, you got a new leader of the opposition. The opposition is now the PNM, and a new government is in office. Quite broad-based coalition, they say. I said to the prime minister then, we have the opportunity, you and me, the 2 offices we hold, you have the opportunity for us to do things differently. Let us set about to do things differently. Because the country has some problems, where if we do things differently, we in this term at least and going forward should be able to bring some improvement to our circumstances of the country.